My name's Jonathan Dawson. I was only 10 years old when this story took place. Just a boy finding his way on the prairie, where every sunrise came with a lesson and every challenge shaped the man I'd one day become.
Before sharing this story, let me know where you're watching from and hit that like and subscribe button.
The storm had passed both outside and inside our hearts. The barn had a new roof now. The wheat wouldn't grow back overnight, but Pa said the land for divs eventually. We all had our chores again. Annie stopped crying about the rabbit after Ma gave her a new cloth doll with button eyes and yellow yarn hair. She named it Clover, and it said it could never run away in the rain. But life wasn't done testing us. That summer had more challenges ahead. Started with a wild horse. We weren't rich. We had 2 old workhorses, Maisie and Buck, strong and steady, just as much a part of the family as Pa's pipe or Ma's bread pan. But Pa traded half a load of timber and a saddle for a new colt, a young mustang, still untamed, full of muscle and fire. He called him Flint, and hopeful said he could be the future of our farm if we trained him right. Flint hated fences, people, and rules. I remember the first time I saw him buck. His hooves hit the stall like thunder. Pa stood calmly beside him, speaking in that low voice of his, the one that could calm a storm if it had ears. "You have to earn his trust, Jonathan," Pa said one morning. "Not break him, earn him." I nodded as if I understood, but I didn't. Not really. That week, I started sneaking out early before chores just to sit near Flint's corral. I'd bring him a handful of oats and talk to him softly. Sometimes I told him stories about the storm, about Annie, about the time I stepped on a nail and hardly cried. Flint would watch me, ears twitching. He never came close, but he didn't bolt either. I counted that as a win. One morning, Pa let me ride Buck out to check the fence line. The sky was clear. The air smelled like wildflowers and sawdust, and I felt grown. That feeling didn't last long. I heard it before I saw it, the crack of wood, the pounding of hooves, then a blur of movement. Flint. He'd busted clean through the corral gate and took off like a shot, tail high, eyes wide, disappearing into the hills. When I got back to the house, Pa was already mounting up. His jaw was tight. Ma stood on the porch holding Annie, who looked like she might cry. "I'll help," I said. Pa looked at me hard, then nodded once. "Ride steady. Don't spook him." I'd never ridden out that far with Pa before. We followed his trail for hours. Hoof prints in the soft dirt, broken branches, the occasional pile of droppings. Ma would have made me scrub off my boots. The land started to change. It grew hillier and rockier, the kind of place where rattlesnakes like to sun themselves and cougars some. The land started to change. It grew hillier and rockier, the kind of place where rattlesnakes like to sun themselves and cougars sometimes watched from high ledges. We found Flint just before dusk, near the old dry creek bed. He was cornered between 2 boulders, sides heaving, one leg scraped and bleeding. His eyes were wild but tired, like he'd run out of fight. "Stay here," Pa said, sliding off his horse. I watched him move slowly and calmly like he was walking into a church. Flint didn't run away. He just stared, shaking. Pa took off his gloves and held one hand out. "It's okay, son," he said, but he was talking to the horse. Pa got within a few feet before Flint reared. Not high, not angry, just scared. That's when I moved. I don't know why. Maybe it was dumb, maybe brave, maybe both, but I slid off Buck and walked right past Pa. "Flint," I said, my voice barely a whisper. "It's me." I held out my hand, the one that used to bring him oats and stories. I took one step, then another. He didn't run. I got close enough to touch his neck. His skin was hot, twitching under my fingers. Reassuring. "It's okay," I said, gentle. "You're not alone." He didn't lower his head, but he didn't pull away either. I looped the rope slowly around his halter. Pa came up beside me, didn't say a word, just gave me that look that meant more than 1,000 words. We walked Flint home under the stars. Ma had stew waiting. Annie had Clover wrapped in a blanket like a baby. She ran to me when we came through the gate, eagerly. "Did you save him?" she asked. I nodded, proudly. We both did. That night, Pa sat with me on the porch. The moon hung low and the wind was just a whisper. Thoughtful. "You didn't chase him, Jonathan," he said. "Wise. You led him home." I thought about that, about trust, about fear, about how some things can't be forced, only earned. Reflective. "I guess I wanted him to know he wasn't alone," I said. Pa nodded, affirming. "That's how you train a wild thing right, by showing it you'll stay even when it runs." It's been years since that night, but I still remember the sound of Flint's hooves on the hard ground as we walked together into the dark. And I think, sometimes, we're all a little wild until someone walks slow enough beside us to show we're safe. Next time, I'll tell you about the day Pa got hurt and the choice I had to make, a choice no boy should have to face. But that's a story for another fire.